well, it's just gone 6 o'clock in the morning and we're just about ready to go.
We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild.
Okay. Okay, stern's off. Yes, Simon, 2 persons on board, next stop Inverness. Over.
I am very, very, very jealous.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's next stop Inverness.
Oh, good luck. Enjoy the canal. Have you been through it before?
Yes, we did it last year.
Oh, beautiful. You have a great time. I'll follow you on AIS. Keep it nice.
Well, that was it. We were off. We've got a bit to better day. The sea state was absolutely superb. Winds were a little bit on the light side at the moment, but from a super direction, southwesterly, and we were heading sort of northeasterly. So up the coast we would go. It was going to be a long haul, 2 overnights before we could get into Inverness, but yeah, really looking forward to it. Sailing beyond the Tyne. We were going to miss Blythe. It was our first intended stop, but the reason we made the change is the weather. The weather up and around Peterhead was looking as if it would put a block in place for around about 10 days, and even now, as I record this, if we'd have made it to Peterhead, we could have been stuck there until the 12th of May, which we just did not want. Coming past the wind turbines at Blythe, we had to motor a little bit, and Janet took a spell on the Helm while I had my lunch, and then we swapped back again so she could eat. our plan was I would sail up until around about 9 o'clock, hand over to Janet, and she would take over for 2 or 3 hours, and then we'd go on to rotations. I would be on the con for where the difficult patches were, TSS's and coming past Aberdeen and things like that.
Not giving any indication of this. Well, we're having to motor. We're just coming across Durridge Bay. Problem is we've got a foul tide and no wind. In fact, we started going backwards, so we've had to put the motor on, and we're still fighting the current just here. There's a new big one over there, so we've probably got 1.5, 2 knots of tide against us. And I say, well, next to no wind. Should have been 11 to 14 knots.
So looking at our options, we should arrive around Peterhead around about 2300 to midnight on Monday. So we could, because there's not a lot of wind on Tuesday and and not a lot of wind on Wednesday. It's Thursday onwards that it picks up, so we could take the option of having a day break at Peterhead, which would give me a chance to make sure the fuel's topped up right, because it looks like Wednesday is going to be a...
You didn't like Peterhead fuel?
I'll go to garage. You know, it's not... We've not used a lot. It's just making sure I'll empty the black can in and go up to garage. Just get 10, 11 litres like I did last time. And then we could pick the right tide window then for Rattray Head, and for Fort George Narrows. Possibility. We'll see how it goes. We are running a little bit, behind schedule at the moment, but that's because we've been battling the final tide. And, I did expect us to drop down. Just depends how quick, once we pick the tide up again, we'll pick it all back up. As long as this breeze keeps
Being friendly.
yeah. So Janet started to feel a little bit unwell. Thought at first it might have just been a touch of seasickness, but couldn't really see why, because the conditions were so perfect. So I started to look at what other plans we could do, how we could just amend it. And the conditions were so good that decided to head further offshore and make a more direct line to Peterhead. But Janet just seemed to get worse and worse. She was going hot and then cold, shivery, very, very cold. Her head was pounding, her neck was aching, and things were not looking too good at that stage. All she could do was lie down and try and keep covered up. And with the sun starting to set, we were rounding the Farne Islands. We'd gone to the outside of the Farnes, trying to take a more direct route to Peterhead. Darkness approaching, I started to prepare, putting the lights onto the instruments, getting the nav lights switched on. Janet by now was under a blanket in a sleeping bag, curled up. She wasn't asleep, but she was only semi-aware of what was going on. Just wishing the journey would end there, I think. For me, I was preparing for the long haul, and I just hoped that she would recover enough to take over when needed. But then, in the darkness, the wind suddenly got up and it changed direction. No longer on the southwesterly, it was pure westerly, and blowing 25, 27 knots. Started howling and screaming, so I made the decision I'd change course yet again, and try and head more inland, just to see if we could find calmer waters and less wind. Unfortunately, the closer inshore I got, the worse it got. Trying to get around St Abbs Head, which is just north of Eyemouth, the winds were screaming at almost 30 knots from a westerly. Crossing the Firth of Forth, forget it, no chance. So I had to abort. The problem there was Eyemouth was not accessible. We were on big spring tides and I was at low tide. Plus it was pitch dark and I didn't want to go into Eyemouth anyway in the dark. So I had to do a 5-hour reroute. Did a big loop taking 5 hours to wait for daybreak so that we could make our way into Eyemouth. Now luckily Janet recovered enough, she wasn't well, her head was still pounding. She couldn't stand for very long, couldn't really look forward, but she was recovered enough just to take the helm so I could prepare Baru to come into harbour and moor up by putting the set of fenders down and getting the lines ready, so that then I could take over to get us onto the pontoon and get tied up. I'd been at the helm for close on 23 hours at that point, so I think it's fair to say I was a wee bit tired. Also, during the night, whilst I was battling through the heavy winds, we had a following sea, and something happened with the rudder. We suddenly started getting quite high, noisy knocking noises, which was a little bit concerning. And I could feel the rudder shaft moving, rattling. So we had to take stock of that when we came into Eyemouth, and after I'd been able to get a little bit of rest.